Honorable Speaker, Lok Sabha, Honorable Deputy Chairman, Rajya Sabha, distinguished delegates, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my privilege to be making this presentation on lifestyle for environment before this August gathering. Lifestyle for environment is a call to action that was enunciated by the Honorable Prime Minister at Glasgow in COP26. And he spoke about the need for all of us to come together and take lifestyle for environment forward as a campaign and make it a mass movement towards an environmentally conscious lifestyle. And this call to action was followed by the unveiling of Mission LiFE last year, along with the UN Secretary General in October 2022. The Ministry of Environment has then taken forward this action in the form of a mascot. And this little girl who you see on the screen before you is called Prakriti. And she carries forward sustainability messages on life. I would like to present it in the form of this small video.
मिशन लाइफ का मंत्र है लाइफस्टाइल फॉर एनवायरनमेंट। पृथ्वी पर रहने वाले प्रत्येक व्यक्ति को व्यक्तिगत प्रयासों की कामना के साथ ही आज ये मिशन लाइफ का ये विजन दुनिया के सामने रख रहा हूं।
My dear Prakriti, remember what you have to do on earth?
Yes, Mother. I will educate people with love so that they understand mission life and maintain the environmental balance by adopting environment-friendly lifestyle.
My child, these three things will help you on your journey. First is the tiara of flowers. This will keep you happy and energetic. Second, this badge of life, which will remind people of life, lifestyle for environment. You can also give this badge to people who contribute for the betterment of our planet. And third, this bag of hope. Whenever someone harms the environment, you can take out eco-sustainable alternatives from the bag and inspire them to adopt Mission Life.
Okay, Mother. Now I will leave for my mission life. There's one life, but there's one mission. Let's all work for environment, rejuvenation, beloved planet's protection. Adopting environment-friendly lifestyle is our ambition. Say no to single-use plastic. Let's use stairs instead of lift. Save water, segregate waste, reduce overconsumption and reuse again. Together we can, together we will, together we will achieve this ambition. There's one life, there's one mission. Let's all work for environmental rejuvenation, beloved planet's protection. Let's choose life for green planet vision.
मिशन लाइफ
Sustainable lifestyles have been acknowledged in the IPCC report. The 2022 Mitigation of Climate Action Working Group 3 contribution specifically talks about the need to reduce global GHG emissions by using and adopting socio-cultural and behavioral changes. Similarly, the International Energy Agency has done a deep dive and a study about the impacts of these behavioral changes, and they have come out with some extremely important recommendations. If such behaviors and such choices are made by individuals the world over, by 2030, we would have reduced 2 billion tons of GHG emissions. Around 60% of emission saving by life measures could indirectly be actually encouraged by governments. And the reduction of per capita CO2 emissions in advanced economies will be 3 to 4 times greater than developing economies. What are the different types of measures and steps that we need to focus on when we talk about life-friendly actions? And this slide gives an overview. If the behavioral measures such as having eco-friendly households, using such methods of transport which are environment friendly, reducing flying where we can travel by other means, recycling, because the principle of reduce, reuse, recycle, refurbish, repair, that is very important to take the attention away from the use and throw mindset to sustainable and mindful utilization of resources. And the consumer choices that we can make in terms of the vehicles that we choose to use, the appliances, whether they are energy efficient, the electricity choices using renewable sources of energy, all these. And we have tried to show it in this bar chart, where ultimately this leads to reduction of 2 billion tons of CO2 emissions by 2030. So these are the focus areas that the International Energy Agency report also points out to. How do we look at the LiFE themes and how do we actually practice them? A snapshot of the actions that will make life possible in our day-to-day actions.
Use LED bulbs and solar lights. Prefer CNG EV vehicle over petrol diesel vehicles. Use carpooling with friends and colleagues. Keep your electronic devices in energy saving mode. Use cloth bag for shopping instead of plastic bags. Carry your own water bottle wherever possible. Prefer using non-plastic eco-friendly cutlery during gatherings and events. Reduce food wastage. Recycle and reuse old newspapers and magazines. Repair, reuse and recycle old furniture. Set printer default to double-side printing. Include millets and nutri-cereals in diets. Compost food waste at home. Create kitchen gardens, terrace gardens at homes, schools. Plant trees to reduce the impact of pollution. Plant medicinal plants such as neem, tulsi, giloy, mint, curry leaves, ashwagandha, etc. within household premises. Initiate and or join green clubs in your residential area, school, office. Reduce e-waste and discard e-waste responsibly. Repair and use electronic devices over discarding the devices. Prefer cloud storage over a pen drive, hard drive. Discard gadgets in nearest e-recycling units. Turn off running taps when not in active use. Use drip irrigation systems created with waste materials wherever possible. Use buckets instead of hose pipes to water plants, floors, vehicles.
Excellencies, this was just a snapshot of the actions that we can promote, whether we are part of governments or corporates or in our communities, in our individual families. And taking this theme forward, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change adopted a whole of government approach. In the run-up to the World Environment Day this year, we did a month-long mass mobilization campaign. And this mass mobilization campaign saw tremendous amount of participation from all parts of the country, and indeed from countries abroad where coastal cleaning exercises were also undertaken. 1.6 million events across the country led to 26 million individuals participating in events and 24 million pledges that were taken. This is just an indication of how, once we have a call to action at a mass level in our countries and across the world, there can be significant outcomes by all our collective actions. The alignment of lifestyle for environment with the global call to action has been taken forward in so many forums, and the cover decision at the COP27 last year noted the importance of transition to sustainable lifestyles and sustainable patterns of consumption and production for efforts to address climate change. The ministry has continued its efforts to highlight this importance, and the G7 communique adopted in Japan early this year took note of the IPCC report, which pointed out that global GHG emissions can be reduced by 40 to 70% through behavior and lifestyle changes. And taking note of this report, the G7 established the platform for net zero and well-being in life to incentivize sustainable consumer choices and preferences. We flagged the importance of lifestyle for environment in our discussions during the presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And we are happy to report, Excellencies, that the communique also pointed out that there's a need to transition to sustainable lifestyles and sustainable consumption and production patterns, and the need to actually incorporate this in education so that lifestyle changes and models of development and sustainability can be encouraged and fostered across the world. Coming to the G20 discussions and deliberations, this was a very key theme across the G20 meetings, and it culminated in the adoption of high-level principles on lifestyles for sustainable development. And what are these principles? Just a quick overview. These principles emphasize on the interlinkages between development and climate agendas and support the effort to meet the basic needs of all people. It promotes environment-friendly individual and community behaviors. It adopts the principle for promoting sustainable production and investment in key areas, mainstreaming of sustainability in all aspects of the economy, leveraging the potential of data and technology for adoption of sustainable consumption and production patterns. It recognizes the role of local communities, local and regional governments, and traditional knowledge. It recognizes the role of financing in achieving development and climate goals. And it also points out the need to strengthen international cooperation, collective action, and partnerships. And Excellencies, the discussions also took note of the fact that across the world, countries have their various systems and responses that focus on collective and individual actions to combat climate change. And this is just to take note of a few of these initiatives as are undoubtedly taking place in different countries. But today the need is to focus on them, to mainstream life actions in our policy and our interventions. So whether we talk about the Beat the Peak campaign, let's take care of our resources, let's take care of our country campaign, the furoshiki wrapping cloth tradition, the Lagom philosophy of just right, the milpa farming, this is just a few, to name a few of those practices that are being practiced in different countries of the world. And today, what our request is and what our focus is on, that we should try and highlight and mainstream lifestyle actions in every sphere, in every sector. So the New Delhi Leaders' Declaration has actually taken forward lifestyle for environment, and the countries have committed to robust collective actions that will enable the world to embrace sustainable production and consumption patterns and mainstream lifestyles for sustainable development. To this end, the G countries committed to implement the G20 high-level principle lifestyles for sustainable development. They supported the implementation of the cooperation, financial support and development, deployment and dissemination of technology, and encouraged international organizations to incorporate HLPs into their program. And the G20 Leaders' Declaration also noted the launch of Travel for Life and supported the development of smart destinations that are responsible and sustainable. Excellencies and delegates, I'm very happy to report that on the World Tourism Day of 27th September this year, the Travel for Life was launched at a global level, and India took the lead in promoting this concept of developing sustainability in all sectors of travel and tourism, in the sectors of hospitality, travel trade, and to encourage consumers to adopt environment-friendly and lifestyle-based behaviors. These mindful actions undoubtedly will result in the conservation of the environment and biodiversity. They will make a big contribution to the local economy and encourage the communities that are practicing healthy and traditional lifestyles. And they will preserve the socio-cultural integrity of the destinations. The way forward, as we see it, is to actually bring together the different elements of the value chain, the behavioral nudges where there can be a change in the demand. And this choice, the change in choice, can lead in turn to this change in the demand. And that would then actually incentivize the change in the product in terms of the design, in terms of the product, in terms of the processes, and overall encompassing the umbrella framework of sustainability as a part of policy measures undertaken by governments. When sustainability gets embedded in all sectors, where green investments are incentivized, that's how we will be able to mobilize resources, channelize resources and investments in the right directions. And for this, the regulatory and legal frameworks would have to work in tandem so that when we complete this virtuous circle of change in choice and demand and supply, and we take it up under the umbrella of change in policy, then ultimately that would lead us to the difference that the world needs us to do today as guardians of the planet, as trustees of the planet for future generations. Thank you, Excellencies, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity to present the principles of lifestyle to this August gathering. Thank you once again.